My name is Karol Mason, and I have the privilege of being the president of John Jay College of Criminal Justice. But most importantly, I get the opportunity to welcome you all to this Safety and Justice Challenge Future Leaders Network meeting. Can anybody say that really fast? I see why they use acronyms, but you'll notice that I hate acronyms, so I will say the whole thing repeatedly. Because I think it's important for people to know what we're talking about. Language is important, and sometimes we get in our own little bubbles and use acronyms, and nobody else knows what we're talking about. But we do work that we want everybody to know what we're talking about. The work we do is important to everybody in our community, so we want to make sure we're bringing people in and that they actually understand everything we're talking about. So I am pleased to be partnering with the Volcker Alliance to host today's convening of MacArthur Foundation grantees. Now, full disclosure, I wasn't on the Volcker Alliance board when this started, but I am now. So I did not have a conflict of interest because I had nothing to do with us getting this grant. So we are grateful to be partners with them. Hello. And part of this wonderful network of creating the future leaders of public safety. They're already leaders, but we're helping them develop to be able to take our places. Some of you in this room know I've been having a series of intergenerational conversations. And the genesis of it is watching what this program is doing and creating leaders who will take our places. So how many of you are over 60 that are going to confess it? Yeah, that's the thing. Don't we want to make sure that somebody's stepping into our shoes? Absolutely, and that's what this program is all about. And I love this because the people who wrote my remarks are like, this is nothing to do with what's on that paper that's in front of her. No, because I want to get some things out, but I will go back to the paper because they're important things they want to make sure that I say, right? Thank you, Erica and Rebecca. They're kind, they're used to it. So again, I express my deep gratitude for all of you for your commitment to developing meaningful educational opportunities for young people interested in public safety careers. Now, when I went to the Cities United Conference 2 weeks ago, I learned something from Dr. William Bell, who runs the Casey Family Programs. Commitment's not enough. It's just not enough. We need a conviction. And I think that everybody in this room has a conviction to make sure that this work that we're doing actually happens. Is that right? Yeah, I'm gonna make sure you're awake throughout this. So there's a lot of call and response. So get used to it. And I can tell who my good partners are in the call and response right there from Houston, Texas. So each of you here plays a role in strengthening the public safety infrastructure of our future through the young people who will be working in these fields. Good morning. And the future of public safety demands leaders who are prepared, adaptive, deeply connected to the communities they serve, and convicted about this work, convicted about making sure their communities are safe and thriving, and that everyone in our communities has an opportunity to realize their dreams. That's what this work is all about. It's not just about keeping communities safe. It's about keeping them safe for a purpose, for a reason, and that reason is to make sure that everybody in the community has a chance to fulfill their dreams, because we all succeed when they succeed. So John Jay has spent the past 60 years investing in that kind of vision. We started as a police college, and we have evolved into so much more. Policing is still core to what we do, but we educate folks, and this was the vision when it was created, who are partners with their communities, who are invested in the success of their communities. And we have now evolved into thinking about the whole ecosystem of how are we creating a just community, a just world, of which public safety is a piece of it. And that's it, just a piece of it. So we educate students to go from policing to forensics to law. We are one of the largest producers, number 5 in the country, in sending Black applicants to law school, and number 13 in Hispanic applicants to law school. And for those of you who think that all lawyers have to be prosecutors or whatever, they go into all different kinds of fields, and they are policymakers as well as engaged members of our community who help us make sure that what we're working to do happens. So we work to ensure that our students graduate, not just with a degree, but with the skills and relationships that help them navigate a world that's constantly changing. We had some conversations, our fireside chat last week, and one of our philanthropic partners asked us a lot about how are we equipping our young people for jobs of the future, when we don't know what those jobs are going to be next year, much less 5, 10 years down the line. But the work we're doing here in helping create safe and just communities is part of that equation of making sure our students are equipped for a ever-changing, challenging world. And they will succeed, as you'll see from the panels later this morning. They're remarkable. Have your tissues ready, because you're not going to be crying because of what they say. You're going to be crying because of how proud you are in seeing what is happening because of the investment of folks in this room. So the Future Public Safety Scholars Program exemplifies John Jay's efforts to prepare students to create a safer, more just society. This program, which we launched 2 years ago, builds on John Jay's impactful student success models. It provides students with wraparound support and diverse paid experiential learning opportunities as they pursue public safety, public sector, law enforcement, and criminal legal careers. And so we're proud of Rosman Garcia, who you'll hear from shortly, and Jessica Torres. They're smiling. 2 of our alumni, you got this, who participated. You'll hear from them about their work and their experiences, and they are in now prosecutors' offices with successful careers. And again, you'll hear more about that later. One of our foundation board members is here, Ambeen Rudman, and she will tell you that when they presented to our foundation board, it was just such a moment of pride and hope, because that's what this program is. It's hope. And so through your programs and your partnerships with us, and including the internships, project-based learning, immersive partnerships with agencies, students are gaining exposure that changes the trajectory of their careers and ultimately the trajectory of our collective public safety systems, and you'll hear about that. And so we're going to celebrate today, right? Yeah, I'm checking to see if you're still with me. This is a celebration. This is a culmination of a lot of work people are doing over the years, and we get to, it's not just a celebration, but afterwards, I know later today, we're going to be working together to learn from each other, and that's the beauty of these collective, collaborative programs. It's the opportunity to learn and share, because we want the world to know how to do this, because it's not something we keep closed and say, oh, we're the only ones that know how to do this. For the world that we want to envision, we've got to be sharing this knowledge broadly so that other people can do it as well. And so I am confident in our future because of the programs like this and the systems we're creating and improving. I heard someone say recently that the biggest form of protest is hope. And so, and I'm not being political, we all need hope, right? I mean, who doesn't need, if you don't need hope, I think you're in the wrong room. And if you don't believe that we're creating hope, then we're going to convert you while you're in here. Is that right? So before we dive into the agenda, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt thanks. This is why I need to make sure I have the paper so I don't forget anybody. And if I do, you know, as we say in the church, charge it to my head, not my heart, because my heart thanks everybody in this room for being our partners. So first, I want to thank the MacArthur Safety and Justice Challenge, whose generous support fueled this work. Yes, Bria? And a special acknowledgement to our program officer, Bria Gillum, who has not only been a champion of this initiative, but a thoughtful partner to our team and to many of you. And when we were at the, yes, give Bria. And I will tell you that Bria gave the best articulation of why these leadership programs are so important when we were at the Black and Brown Collective. That was just in June, wasn't it? Yeah, it was this year. It was, yeah, it just feels like it was ages ago. But when you have a chance to talk to her, you'll understand why this vision is so important to MacArthur and to Bria in particular. Thank you for trusting us in our community and believing in the power of experiential learning to transform the lives of our students, which you'll hear about more. I want to thank the Aronson Family Foundation for believing in our vision for the Future Public Safety Scholars Program. We've got Shari Aronson and Sarah Furtman here with us over there. They're trying to look incognito, but we're grateful for your support because you were part of the envisioning of this before we even met with the MacArthur and the Volcker folks. So thank you for doing that. I mentioned our foundation board member, Ambeen Rudman, but several of them wanted to be here today, and if they're in the room, I've missed them, but they may show up later. They are always here supporting the work of this institution, and Ann shows up for every single program we have. Not just that, she takes notes, see her? And then we have a board meeting. I don't have to tell them what happened because it sounds self-serving. We're like, Ann, would you tell them what you got from it? And she's got her notes there. Thank you for your leadership and guidance and for countless hours you invest in ensuring that our mission in preparing fierce advocates for justice stays strong. And last, my conflict of interest. I want to thank the folks from the Volcker Alliance and Sarah Mogilescu in particular, who will be taking this mic in a minute. She wants to take it sooner rather than later. But I still remember when she came in to talk to me at Erica's suggestion to go on this board, and I had every intention of saying no because I'm overcommitted. But then I saw what was happening in the world, and I understand the Volcker Alliance's commitment to making sure that we're creating spaces for our young people to lead and take over. And I realized that that's the kind of partnership we need. So I said yes, because the work that they do is important, as you'll see from this room. And not last, but I want to thank our fellow MacArthur Foundation grantees. I haven't met you all. Could you wave your hands so I can see who the partner grantees are? Thank you all for being partners with us. I thought you might have been. Thank you for being partners with us, because it's through our combined efforts and learning together that this world is really going to change for the better. And that's not a political commentary. The world always has to be better. And we need this next generation coming behind us to do better than those over 60 of us did. We did some good things, but there's a whole lot more to do. And so we're going to meet later today after the panel to talk about exchanging ideas. And what I'm doing is catching up to see if I missed anything I'm supposed to say. So the morning panel will be with the students, and then after that, we're going to have some time with each other, and they're going to have some time to deeply engage with people who are not part of the partnership, but in this space, so they can make sure that they know what careers are available to them. And I dare say, after they meet folks and think about things, I bet they're going to create some things that we don't know about, that we can't even conceive of right now, because of the experience and opportunities we're giving them, and because of the partnerships they're going to develop across the country. That's a powerful network to have, because knowing that you can pick up the phone and call people and say, call somebody in Houston, Texas, call somebody anywhere and say, how do we partner together to think about how to make things better? And I know that that's what makes our future of public safety work so well, is because I have a network that's different than Erica's network, that's different than Rebecca's network, and those three networks combined are powerful, and we know that we have now exponentially grown this network because of this partnership grantee program. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to take over the program from here. So thank you.
Our panelists come up. You got to do a little first shift. Yes, come.
You said speak.
That's you.
Oh, this one.
You need to take one of those too.
And we get the other one. Somebody else start.
Yeah. Are these off?
No, they're on.
How do you turn them off?
Sorry, you want to turn them off?
Well, just leave them on. Well, okay. We'll keep one down here.
Oh, God, I missed you then. There's a little riding. They're riding the other Ellis.
They'll come. We'll move. Okay. So you sit next. Sit there. Okay. All right. Good morning. Thank you, Karol. I'm all fired up and ready to engage in some call and response as well to make sure you're all still awake. Are you all still awake? All right. Well, I'm Sarah Mogilescu. I'm the president of the Volcker Alliance, and our mission is to empower public servants to solve the challenges facing our nation. This panel is called Criminal Justice Leadership Development Through Experiential Learning. There are all the words. But what that really is about is internships and experiential learning for rising leaders. And why are we interested in that? We are interested in cultivating and investing in future leaders that choose to work in government. And government needs to not only be representative of the people it serves, but it also needs early career talent. It needs people who come with fresh ideas and fresh skills and proficiency. And it's not as easy as you think to connect the early career talent to the government jobs. And so internships are key. Internships are key. For employers, internships are also key. And they are key because they're low risk And hiring is hard. A lot of internships convert into full-time positions. And so for government employers, although hiring is a burden in many ways, internships can offer a huge on-ramp for the early career talent that they require. And for job seekers, internships are exposure. They bring public service to life, right? What is it that when we work at the Department of Criminal Justice Services, that's really hard to understand. Job descriptions don't really help you understand it either when they're written by most government agencies. So how do we give real life experiences and then connections? When you need social capital to build a career. And not everybody starts out with the same amount of social capital. And internships are an enormous way to meet more mature professional, I don't want to call them mentors, we were talking about this yesterday, mentors, and people who are going to look out for you, answer your questions, and help you make choices. So the private sector offers a lot of internships and experiential learning opportunities. Public institutions, government, not as good at it. That's what we want to talk about. We want to expand the opportunities for internships in government, all different kinds of government, legislative, executive, local, state, federal. And to do that, we need to think about how to engage students in these opportunities. We need to think about how to structure them in the public sector context. We need to think about how to fund them in the public sector context. We need to build partnerships with government employers so that we're not just revving up students and getting them excited to go somewhere and then there isn't a place for them to go. And we need to work with educational institutions because there's a lot of competing interests for students, right? And many of our students aren't on a traditional educational path. So how can we find ways to build this in while they are still working on their degree? Here we are to talk about these things. So I have the greatest group of people here, and I can't believe it. But I'm not going to introduce you because it'll take forever. So can you introduce just quickly your name, who you are, what you do, and why, if you're excited about this concept of internships and public sector internships and rising leaders and all the things Karol was talking about, why are you excited about those things? And then I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty. Erica.
Good morning. My name's Erica Bond. I'm the Vice President of Justice Initiatives here at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I'm so thrilled to be here having this conversation about how we support the next generation of leaders. I'm going to take a step back and just tell you briefly about our future of public safety.
Introduce yourself first. Just like
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to come back to you.
Pass the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know me.
I'm
hold
going
on.
to jump in. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to jump in. Just introduce yourself, and if you're happy to be here, why?
I'm Rodney Ellis, and
And if you're not, why?
I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm happy to be here because it's 80 degrees in Houston. I could do without the rain today. I'm a lawyer. I've been in politics for a long time. I'm a city council member for about 6 years, a state senator in Texas for 26 years, and now a county commissioner in Harris County. And I'm interested in mentoring the next generation because I'd like for someone to replace me, maybe beat me one day, who know what the hell they're doing. So for that reason, I have mentored young people over the years since I went to the state senate, even when I worked for a member of Congress. And I always tell my interns, one day, one of you all will replace me. Now, don't try and do it too soon, or you'll get a lesson in humility because the old man might beat you. But I've got about 3 interns who are members of the Texas House. Some are senior members now, one city councilman, been around a while.
Short introduction. Okay.
I'm Roger Hartley. I'm challenged with short introductions too because I'm from West Virginia and we like to talk a lot. I am the Dean of the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore. I really want to thank the Volcker Alliance. I want to thank the MacArthur Foundation and also John Jay. I told a lot of folks yesterday that I started my career here as an adjunct in 1998, so it's remarkable to be back here, President. And also on the subject of internships, internships. I mean, we have for a long time faced a massive crisis in getting talent interested in government from colleges like ours, getting them interested in the jobs. And now we have a new crisis where federal pathways have been cut off, and we are in a place now too where, of course, there's a demoralization of some of our students about finding public service government as a place where they want to go. Internships are the light for a student to turn on and to see that there are meaningful careers in public service and careers that can make a difference, and finding a job that you would have never imagined. And I've heard this from my alums for years, so I'm repeating it. And thank you. It's really great to be here.
Thanks. I'm Joe Popkin. I'm the Executive Deputy Commissioner at the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, DCJS, and we are the state's kind of statistical analysis agency, but also we handle all these grant funds. So we're a $1 billion agency. We have 700 employees. So we are the government employer that we're trying to bring people into state service. I've been in state service for the last 13 years, and as a 37-year-old, I consider myself the next generation, but I'm also humbled by talking to some of the students who are like, oh, well, you know, you're actually 12 years older than me. So I'm excited to provide more of the employer perspective, what we're looking for in government. And the last thing I'm going to say about your excitement is I think we're all called, whether we're 37 or 60, to find our highest and best use. And so we're talking about internships as one way of doing that, but really what we've discovered and what kind of Karol said is how do we create exposures and experiences for students to find their highest and best use? And I'm defending my PhD on Monday, and so I consider myself a student still. And so I'm still challenged for trying to find my highest and best use. It is a lifelong pursuit.
All right, these guys are amazing, and we're going to get right to hearing a little bit about what they are doing innovatively in this space, because as I said before, internships in public sector, not always easy to make happen. So Erica, you've launched the Future of Public Safety Scholars with your partnership with MacArthur, with your partnership with other foundation support. What are you trying to accomplish through that program, and what are you learning? And can you say a little bit about its special sauce, just from yesterday?
I love the special sauce question. So as I was over-enthusiastically launching into before, this work really comes out of our Future of Public Safety initiative. As the president of the college noted, we started out as a policing college, but we're now much more broadly a college of criminal justice and public safety. And what we're finding is that our students come here and they really want to go into public safety careers. Many of them want to go into policing, but haven't necessarily had exposure to the many different opportunities that there are to contribute to public safety. And our Future of Public Safety initiative is really designed to help communities and our partners really think holistically about the ways that we can invest in communities and partner with communities in order to create safe communities. And so the goal with this project was really to help our students be able to see themselves in the work and be able to see the variety of opportunities that are available to them. And the way that we go about doing that, it's a one-year program. They take a course in the fall and the spring. And then in the spring, they've got an internship. So that's their first experiential learning opportunity. And what we do with that is we kind of keep them closer to home. So they intern with one of our centers. We are very fortunate, John Jay, that we have a number of different research and action centers that really focus on different aspects of public safety, from reentry to prosecution to data and pretrial. And so there are numerous opportunities for our students to really kind of roll up their sleeves and dig into this work. And we partner with our centers to place our students at one of our centers where we can really support them, because a lot of what we're doing with our students is also professional development, really helping prepare them for the workforce, working on resumes. So while some of the work is around substance and really thinking about what is public safety, what are the different factors that contribute to public safety, some of it is really just career readiness and preparation. And so we help them take advantage of the resources that we have here at John Jay, but then we really work with them individually. We do interview prep. So even before they interview with our centers, even though they're guaranteed to get a job at the centers, we view this as a really valuable opportunity for them to really hone their skills around resumes and interview prep and the like, so that by the time the summer rolls around, they're really well prepared to do an external internship. That is a full-time, summer-long internship, fully paid. You asked about the special sauce. I would say one aspect of the special sauce is that we're paying our students, and we're paying them essentially a replacement wage for the job that they would otherwise need to have in order to support themselves in this very, very expensive city. And we know that most of our students here at John Jay need to have jobs, and that they're working and going to school at the same time. And historically, I think part of the reason we've seen a lack of equity in the public safety workforce is because many students can't afford to do unpaid internships, and that's frequently been the case in the past, where the opportunities are unpaid, and we want to make sure that our students have those opportunities, and therefore we need to pay them that living wage. And so we do give them a stipend in the spring. That's a part-time internship, 1 day a week, but in the summer they're paid full-time for full-time work, and then we place them externally. So last summer, you're going to get to meet a couple of our really fabulous future of public safety scholars from last year's cohort and hear from them and hear about their experience. But 2 of them were in district attorneys' offices. 2 were at the Center for Court Innovation, which is a very large public safety nonprofit here in New York, and then 1 was with the New Jersey Public Defender's Office. And what we found was that all of that investment of time and energy and resources throughout the year, I think really helped them to be successful over the summer. And again, you'll hear a little bit more from our students, but the two of our students who graduated last year both got jobs in public safety fields. So we really think that this model is one that works quite well.
It's interesting because when we first met you guys and started talking about this, we're like, let's do an internship program. We're going to have all these interns going out in the summer, and they're going to go to all these agencies in New York. We have so many. And you guys were like, wait a minute. No. You know, there's so much built in here to helping prepare the students to succeed in the internships, and also I think to cultivating the internships that will help them succeed with partners. So it's not like go do your internship. It's a program for a year, right?
Yes, that's right. And we are very intentional about, to your point, sort of selecting the internship sites and not just sending our students out into the field and saying, good luck, let us know how it goes. We are setting up agreements with each of the internship sites, so there's a real expectation around kind of what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be supporting our students. We meet with the students throughout the summer to hear from them, hear how the experience is going, help them navigate challenges, things like that. So there is a lot more that goes into it than just kind of pushing them out into an internship.
I'll come back to you in a little bit, but Commissioner Ellis, what is TLIP?
So TLIP is the Texas Legislative Internship Program. And I got the idea when I worked on Capitol Hill. I went on Capitol Hill maybe a year and a half out of law school as chief of staff to a member of Congress. And I was 26 or 27 years old. And I really didn't know what I was doing. And I think he did it because he was trying to push me for a job with the Democratic National Committee. It was an exciting time. Ms. Chisholm was in her last year in Congress. So I had to go through all of these congressional Black Caucus members to get this job at the Democratic National Committee because they had to sign off on it. And then the mayor of Newark, the mayor of Gary, Indiana, Richard Hatcher, he thought I was too close to the congressman, so I didn't get the job. So then he said, I'll make you my chief of staff because I'd met all these members of Congress. And then I was his roommate as well, and I really didn't know what I was doing. But, I had the chance to learn because if I messed something up, I'd see him when I got up. I'd see him when I went to bed. So I guess I was the chief of staff, but I was interning in a sense. So one day he said, we need more young people of color like you on Capitol Hill. So he said, I've talked to the dean of the University of Houston, and a dean at Texas Southern, Black College in Houston. And he said, I picked 10 interns, 5 from each, and we're going to pay them. And we're going to put them in other members' offices, congressional offices. And you're going to go raise the money. And if you can't raise the money, I'm going to fire you. You can get in that Volkswagen and go on back to Texas. So, we did raise the money, and the program kept going. Then a couple years later, I ran for a city council seat and won. So I did my own little, as we would refer to it, jackleg internship program as a councilman. Jackleg. Okay. In other words, it means
what does that mean?
Yeah,
what does
you know
that
what
mean?
it means. Yeah, it didn't work out too well. But I would hire them during the summer. And I found out a lot of young people during the summer really don't want to work. And I did have the good sense to pay them because the congressman's program was a paid internship program. So eventually when I went to the state senate, I decided I'm going to try to do my own program. And politicians, of course, we always give it our name. His program had his name on it, Mickey Leland Internship Program. So mine was the Rodney Ellis Internship Program. And then a Houston Endowment came to me and said, take your name off and we will help you fund it and pay them more money. Don't be so cheap. You want somebody to work a whole legislative session, which is January to June, and whatever it was back then in 1991. Maybe I was going to give them $2,000 for the semester. They said, we think they need $3,800 to make it in Austin, Texas for a legislative session. So we raised $20,000. I had 5 kids, so I gave them all $4,000. And that's what started the program. When I took my name off, we wanted to go big in Texas. So what is it? The Texas Legislative Internship Program. And in my last class, I've been out of the Senate now for 9 years. Erica, we have about 47 interns. And so we gave them last session about $10,000 each. Sometimes if there's a hardship issue, I think we had one from South Africa, we had to pay a little more.
But what do they do?
We put them in the member's office. We give them an extensive internship program. They do whatever the office requires. Half of them are law students. Only 2 law schools in the country have agreed that they'll let them get a semester of academic credit when they do it. Now, here's the key to that. I've never flunked anybody. But, sometimes particularly when you're in law school, after all, you study in constitutional law, and you walk in some state senator, state rep's office, the governor's office, and you think because you pass constitutional law, you know what the hell you're doing. So sometimes if they get frustrated, they may decide they'll take a job or they'll quit. So I have them sign an agreement. You have to complete the program. In Texas, the session goes from January the 10th until about June the 2nd. So if you want to study for the bar, you got to finish it. Because it's like a crescendo. At the end, it starts off slow, and you do whatever it takes. Sometimes I tell them, if you really want to do well, be the first person in, be the last one to leave.
Were the universities just thrilled to give credit for this, or was that
No,
an
we had
effort?
to go talk to the faculties. ABA has a rule, old school, where you can't get paid and get academic credit, the American Bar Association. Because of my program, they have changed that rule. But 2/3 of the faculty has to agree. So we've had to lobby 2 faculties. My alma mater, University of Texas, we were attracting students from the University of Texas who would transfer to Texas Southern so they could get the internship program, academic credit, transferring hours back. So now the University of Texas Law School has changed their rules so you can get about 6 hours. But Southern's Law School and Texas Southern, they give them full semester. We take schools of public affairs. We take undergraduates. Obviously, if an undergraduate's competing with a graduate student, you probably have an advantage. Sometimes we assume you can write and not just tweet or X, whatever they call it, if you're at law school, which is not always the case. But look, I've had them doing everything. It's a bipartisan program because I run the money through Texas Southern University. I raise it. They have a Mickey Leland Center. Since he was my mentor, I raise the money. It goes to the university. A couple of foundations have helped me over the years. Houston Endowment probably helped me for about 25 years. And then they decided, somebody else's turn. Beaumont Foundation came up for a while and helped. But we got about 1,000 students now, and it's pretty good. As I mentioned, some are in politics. One just became a judge countywide. Harris County is 5 million people. That's bigger than 27 states. Yeah. So it's a big county.
I mean, one of the things that I was taken with in learning about this program is the collaborations with the universities, which I think is quite innovative, and being able to provide credit and dollars, for them to live in Austin, and it's immersive, right? Yeah. So you get assigned to a legislator,
and we take that input, but sometimes I tell them it's a learning experience. So all of the blacks don't need to be with a black member. All of the Democrats don't need to be with a Democrat. Now, if we think you're going to go in there and just go crazy, we'll say, well, maybe your temperament. We ought to put you with somebody you agree with. But it's a learning experience. And if you're learning, sometimes you need to see how the other side thinks. Mm-hmm. And so we mix it up. Sometimes we'll put an African American with a Hispanic member. For a while, some of my Republican colleagues would look to my program because they thought it was the way they would diversify their staff. And I remember telling President Bush, when he was Governor Bush, I said, I think I've created more black Republicans than you have, and the ones that I created have a brain. With all due respect, but you get in office and you find there's similarities. But look, I've enjoyed it, and I always joke. I know sometimes they look at me and they say I can beat him, and that's okay. I do it because at some point, when I'm out. I hope I know when it's time to get out. Usually we politicians don't know when it's time to go. But I hope it's somebody that when I lose, they're going to be surprised. I'm going to give them the keys. I'm going to say, here it is. You can start early. It was a good ride. Yeah. No, it's one of my greatest joys to see young people. And I joke once, my last session in the Senate, the big battle was the guy still lieutenant governor. Men in the women's bathroom. And I knew it was time to go because on the Senate floor I said, I just want to go. Close the stall. I don't care who's in there. Then I found out my intern, law student at the University of Texas, who transferred to Texas Southern's Law School to get in the program. He's working on the bill. So I said, if anybody says my program is not bipartisan, that's the perfect example. The reason I decided to walk out of the Senate and go into county government.
Well, excellent. We're going to come back a little bit later. Dean Hartley, both Commissioner Ellis and Erica have talked about private funding being key to producing these robust internship programs, but you've pursued public funding from your position. Yeah. And that's been a whole different ballgame. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about the program and a few other things. But first of all, congratulations to both of you. What impressive programs, and I want to learn more. In terms of talking about internships and sort of this pathway for leadership for public safety, before I talk about Next Gen Leaders for Public Service, which is the program that you're referring to, I just wanted to say really quickly that a couple things to think about. A lot of programs are focused on students without any experience, kind of your so-called traditional student, but our students at the University of Baltimore and I think certainly here at John Jay College, many of them are working and going to school at the same time. So I want to put a plug in first for designing internships for those who have a 40-hour-a-week plus job, and we've done that in some of our programs because people need to shift careers and get that experience to either move up or move into another position. And without an internship, sometimes you'll find yourself with a resume that says IT and not that ability to move into another sector, which is your dream. The other thing really briefly I want to say is that internships, of course, in the 10 years that I've been a dean and working with public safety leaders and learning from them, I've found that there's a lot of different ways to get people into leadership. I really applaud the chiefs in and around Baltimore City who who are putting down a lot of resources to pay for their officers and civilian staff to go into college, university, to get a degree in the first place, or to actually get a master's. And then the other thing that they're talking about quite a bit now and working with us on at the University of Baltimore is our Certified Public Manager program, in-service certificates that help their leadership get better and move really quickly from being in the middle to upper-level leadership positions. Used to be you had years to mentor someone into those positions. In public safety and in public service generally, you don't have that time anymore to mentor someone into a position. So they need in-service training. But we do have a program, and the one I wanted to talk about is Next Gen Leaders for Public Service. I also want to say thanks to my colleagues here for focusing on the need for pay. An elite experience should not be reserved for students who are from elite backgrounds. To be truthful, I echo everything that you both said. Our students at University of Baltimore and my past students can't afford to take an unpaid internship. And what that means is companies and public service leaders are getting a different type of person, usually from higher socioeconomic status, usually white and male like me. And there's studies that prove that. So paid internships are vital. And I ask public servants public service to actually invest in those internships, and we were very successful. Next Gen Leaders was established in 2022 as a partnership with the Volcker Alliance and the Next Gen Service Corps, which is at Arizona State. We're grateful to the Volcker Alliance for some seed grant money that we had to take our idea and blossom it, and for the cohort of over 17, 18 universities that mentor each other in building these programs. They're all different, and they're all miraculous in their own way. We're really proud of ours at the University of Baltimore. Our program aims to get interest from any student of any major at the University of Baltimore in going into public service. You need IT leaders, you need finance leaders. They aren't in colleges like mine, colleges of public service. They're in business schools and they're in computer science departments, right? So any major, law. Our program offers a special curriculum to help students from any major learn about what public service is and public service values. We provide speakers on public service and we provide development to them. But we also have, the crown jewel is a public service internship program. The program achieved the seed grant money that I mentioned, but then we were really grateful to have our board, after showing the impact of our students getting paid to do internships in the state of Maryland and in local government, we were able to show the impact to our state legislature. And the state legislature, we've been grateful, has invested in our Schaefer Center for Public Policy $1.5 million a year, not just for internships, but also to offer our Certified Public Manager program to any state and local government agency for free. So we have greatly expanded our internships, but also in-service leadership training at the same time. And I can mention later or in questions, how we helped convince them. But one of the biggest things I can say really quickly is that our governor was going out on social media shortly in his term, Wes Moore, asking and even begging people to apply to serve the state of Maryland because we had double-digit percentage vacancies in most of our departments. And so it was not as hard a sell as you could imagine to go to our public leaders and say, look, if you want early career leaders to apply for your jobs and not the private sector, here's an opportunity. Pay them to be interns, show them what the job is, give them the experience, and build a pathway to public service is how we framed it. And that pathway includes that in-service training to leaders who are already working in state and local government too. And they were convinced that it was a good opportunity. And it really worked out. Our students are grad students and upper division undergrad students, both. They are from the College of Public Affairs, the Law School, the Merrick School of Business, and the College of Arts and Sciences. A little bit about our sites. Our sites are really all over the state of Maryland and some outside of Maryland, but the funding is restricted to Maryland state and local governments. And we recruited sites. First of all, it's kind of easy to recruit sites when you say, hey, we're going to provide you an intern and we're going to pay them. So they do get rather excited. And for a period of time, we had more sites than we had students. So then we had to recruit students on our own campus and students to come to our colleges to say, look, if you come to the University of Baltimore, we can almost guarantee you a paid internship if you're interested in public service. So it was a way to recruit students. But our own students, we went to the Maryland Association of Counties, we went to the Maryland Municipal League, and we didn't go meet with them, we went to their meetings. I go to their meetings every year, and I meet leaders, and our Schaefer Center meets leaders, and we sign them up. I'd be willing to share this with you, but we have a portal in our Schaefer Center for the Next Gen program. One side is a site where you click to be a site, and you fill out a job description. The other is for a student to fill out their interest. And then with that funding, we have a leader of the program, an assistant leader, and sometimes a grad assistant that helps match the students and the job descriptions. And if there isn't a student in the portal, we go to the relevant department or the program director and we say, hey, we have this really great opportunity for one of your students. Would you help us find a person for that match? So it's a lot of internal networking inside a university. Sometimes they're a little stovepipe. Do you think a university of the size of John Jay or University of Baltimore, everybody knows each other and talks to each other? They don't always do as well as you can because they're busy and they're doing their own thing. So anyway, we've been able to recruit great students and great sites. So success, this is where I'm proud of my team. Deans get to talk about others' work, and this is very critically, not that I didn't have anything to do with this, but this team is amazing. We've, since 2022, had over 500 paid internship sites, 300 students. So if you're thinking about that, that means some of our students get more than one placement, or they stay with their agency for more than one semester. They're semester long, they're paid $15 an hour. Now in Maryland, that is a living wage. Here, probably not. So we pay minimum wage, $15 an hour to our students. We've had over 83 different host sites, 45 are state agencies. We've had 32 local governments and about 6 are municipalities. We have, and as I'm saying this, this number's getting bigger. I love this number. They have a dashboard, and we have over 92,000 paid hours of public service since 2022. So it's probably now 94,000 because they gave me that number a couple weeks ago. We've got a lot of students in the field. So the focus is both next gen and I wanted to talk about public safety. These are any form of public service, but I've got some data on our public safety work too. And these are for majors predominantly in criminal justice, forensic sciences. We have a program in that, cyber forensics and others. And then also a legal studies program, which is in another college. So we've had 74 criminal justice internships supported by NextGen and 46 legal studies focused internships. And they are with sites like Baltimore City Sheriff's Office, Baltimore City Police Department, Baltimore County, other counties around the state of Maryland. We have a map of where we have our placements, and I'm always eager to try to fill out the whole map, but we haven't gotten every county in the state. And so we're doing pretty well, but I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about the program in questions and answers, lessons learned and other things, but it's been really successful and we're really proud of it.
So that's amazing. And I'm going to get to you in just one second, but one of the things that I think you'll note with all 3 of these programs is that there is a lot of centralized support to make them work. So it's not just, here's an intern, go off, do your internship. There's resources like the matching. There's working with the universities. There's finding the placements. There's working with them to think about who they are, what they want to do, how they want to coaching. There are people that make these programs work. And so I just want to point that out because that's part of investing in this exercise is making sure that there's an infrastructure. I'll mention one more thing before I turn to you, Joe, which is that at the Volcker Alliance, we do a little tiny thing, which is we offer $3,000 fellowship stipends to interns who go find themselves a government internship. All they have to do is find it. It doesn't even have to be unpaid. And if they're in our Next Generation Service Corps, we give them the stipend to help make it work. And we'd like to do much more with that, but even that has brought, I think, more folks into the fold to spend some time in the public space, in government agencies, learning about what to do there. So, I would
Yes.
like to ask Joe, what are you looking for in early career talent as someone who is running a big state agency? What positions do you really think you need to fill and that internships can help you, connect to? And how is it being an employer when you have interns running around? It's sometimes challenging too.
So, so first of all, I'm going to say I wish all of this existed, or at least I knew about it when I was graduating. So quickly, I graduated right after the recession from Syracuse University. I went to Maxwell School, and I was like, oh, I'm clearly going to get a job. I was the first person in my family to get a 4-year degree. My parents were, very much working class, paramedic, registered nurse, and I applied to 300 jobs. I got 12 callbacks. I had 3 interviews and I had 2 job offers. And it took me 6 months. And I ended up going down to DC. I worked with Federal Homeland Security on a very quiet topic called immigration, which no one talks about anymore. And while I was down there, I worked 12-hour days so that I could also intern in the U.S. Senator's office, Gillibrand. But it was incredibly difficult to try to be an intern and know that you have to work 40 hours a week. And so to hear these programs gives me great hope. So fast forward, I go to Albany because my mom said you have to apply to one school in New York to get your master's degree. So I applied to UAlbany, and they gave me a fellowship to be a Homeland Security scholar, and they said we'd pay for you to go to school. I was like, oh, fantastic! I'm going to go to Albany for a year, and then I'm going back down to DC. I'm going to be a big fish then, and I met my wife, so that happened. But I also I had to do an unpaid internship in the governor's office, and that unpaid internship launched my entire career. So 4 years later, from unpaid intern, I was the assistant secretary for public safety, overseeing the state's criminal justice agencies. So these internships can have tremendous power,
That is
transformative
phenomenal. Can you just everyone digest that? Okay.
But it's about the opportunity, and it's about, I felt like I had to create that social support around me. I had to find my mentors. I had to find the peer support. I had to find the opportunity. And to hear all of you talk about, like, you've created this for your students, like, that's one of a kind, and it's not happening everywhere. And we need it now more than ever in public safety and criminal justice. That didn't answer your question, but I will. So now, to fast forward to where I am, I look at this as a huge opportunity for me to give back. So when the commissioner and I got to the agency 4 years ago, we had a 20% vacancy rate. So we had about 350 people, and now we're at almost 700. So we've doubled our staff. We have every one of our positions right now gets up to 50 applicants in a time when nobody is interested in these careers, right? That's what everybody says. Our budget has grown from $250 million to $1 billion, and we're pushing those dollars out the door to strengthen communities and make them safer. We're providing support for the courts, for reentry, for community empowerment programs, for police, for prosecutors, for defense. We are the old Life cereal commercial. Give it to Mikey, he likes it. Give it to DCJS, they'll do it. And we're using those dollars to convene, facilitate, and support. But that takes people, that takes human capital. And the way that we've been able to kind of leverage that growth is by looking at not just internships, but also assistantships. So we're doing research assistantships where we can grab students and say, hey, do you want to do this internship on a research project with us? And then they're like, oh, well, what else do you do? And then we get them that way. We do graduate assistantships where we're getting the grad students. And then we have fellowship programs. So there's the Excelsior Fellows program, which takes graduate students who are coming out with their law degree or a master's degree and puts them right into state service, matching them with policymakers. We've had at least 2 fellows every year that we've been at DCJS. And then Empire Fellows who are more mid-career. They have a graduate degree and 5 to 10 years of experience, and putting them in senior policy roles. And so we're really creating this kind of incubator for leadership development and growth within the agency. So, I view it very much as this continuum of yes, the internship's important. Yes, we want to pay them a livable wage for Albany, where most of us are based. But also we want to get it's hard to hire mid-managers. So getting these fellows to come in to shadow me for 2 years and then take a job in the agency is critically important. So I think the only thing I would add, the 3 elements of success, which everybody so eloquently discussed, were, one, you need to have the students and be able to expose them to opportunities, help them discover their most authentic or aspirational self, and wrap them in supports. The second thing is the clearinghouse, which you talked about, this portal, right? How do you match the students with their interests, with what they want to be when they grow up, to opportunities? And then the third one is, how do you create these incubator environments where it's okay to fail a little bit? You're going to learn today, as you said, and really allow them to develop their own talents and put them to practice. And so I didn't do the other 2, but I'll say that we are finding an ability to have students put their skills to practice and then bring them right into the workforce early. And we need students who are agile, adaptive, and most of all, authentic.
How do you, while you're running an agency, have time to manage all of these early career talent folks?
It's hard, right? So I would say I'm a great employee. I am a good leader, and I am a average manager. So I kind of skipped that, right? So I was like a hustler, and then I was able to go into this executive role, and so I jumped all the management levels, which causes some people some angst, and they told me that to my face. But that that management cohort and those skills are what we need most in government, because there's a hollowing out of state government right now, both generationally, like you see everybody in state and local government was hired in the 80s and now they're all getting out. And you also see it in public safety because of the pandemic effects and because of public perception, there's more and more retirements. And so we are kind of against that headwind, trying to make a more hospitable environment. And we're stealing a lot of the language from John Jay. We're talking about convening, facilitating, supporting a holistic justice system where everybody can see themselves in it. It's not just police, it's not just prosecutors, and it's not just intervention, it's prevention, it's community. And that has really resonated with people who don't necessarily think of themselves as a public safety professional. So we've tried to do more supervisor training. We've tried to make sure that our roles are very descriptive of like what you're going to be doing. And then we've also been pairing them with not only a supervisor who's going to be hospitable, but we're trying to do more mentorship. So we launched a mentorship program 4 years ago where if you are interested, you'll be paired with somebody in the agency outside of your program area, outside of your office, to learn more about what they do. And because we have 15 program areas, you can kind of get exposed to a lot that way very quickly.
So it's exciting to hear about that, but also note that when we sort of say early career, it's not just folks that are just absolutely fresh out of their undergraduate experience. And while there's definitely roles for those people and we want to engage and we want to think about how to encourage, and we'll hear from a couple in a moment, but we need people who can have some basic managerial skills, who are also technically proficient, which, something when we think about early career talent, we think about, I will never be able to use the tools that the folks that are coming out of school today are able to use, and many who have been. And so working together with my level of experience and someone who brings different kinds of technical proficiencies and perspectives, that's what we're looking to do, and that's where government's going to thrive. This is what we're going to do. We're going to definitely have some time for questions, but before we do, I think Erica, you've got 2 mics. You could, yeah.
Well, we're gonna need a couple for the students as well. So yeah,
I'm gonna move.
yeah, and we'll bring the students. Okay, great. So I'm really thrilled to introduce 2 of our Future of Public Safety scholars who graduated from John Jay last May, Rossman Garcia and Jessica Torres. If you guys can come on up and have a seat and join us. Can they sit in the middle? Sure. Is that better for the video? Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Not all of you to move, just give them the 2.
And one more seat?
We're okay because Sarah went and sat down here. Have a seat. All right, musical chairs. We're back. So I am so thrilled to introduce Jessica and Rossman. I think we can all talk about, what we think makes these programs successful and how we think we're being successful. But I think nothing really exemplifies the success of the program like these two students. And I really wanted to be able to share with you their incredible experience and their perspectives and views as to how this program has been helpful for them. And also hear a little bit about how the Future of Public Safety Scholars Program has helped them as they kind of really launch into the workforce, because they both just recently started jobs. So really excited to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're both working full time, so you took time out of these new jobs to come and to speak with us. So if you could, Rossman and then Jessica, just introduce yourself. Tell us what your major was, and also tell us where you're working right now.
So, hello everyone. My name is Rosman Garcia. My major was criminal justice management with a minor in law, and I'm currently working as a crime victim advocate for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Torres. I was majoring in criminal justice, and I'm working as a paralegal in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
So, first, I think it would be helpful for us to hear a little bit about why you even applied for the program. So what was it about the Scholars Program that interested you in the first place?
What interested me in the Scholars Program in the first place was definitely, I think that it's a very holistic program. What all the panelists up here were saying about internships, there were 2 paid internships, which I knew would be great just in terms of I would have the time and also the money. As living in New York City, you do need the money. But I also love that it promoted itself as like, you will learn about all aspects of public safety and have career mentorship, which is so valuable, I think nowadays especially, because it's scary to go into the world and not feel like you're exactly ready. But seeing what all the aspects that this program had to offer, it made me want to apply instantly.
I think that for me, one of the major things that I was looking for when I first applied to this program was the mentorship aspect of it. Because for me, being the first generation to go to college, an immigrant coming from an immigrant family, I think I didn't have those resources. And I feel like when I first got the opportunity to see what the program had to offer, that was one of the initial aspects that I was looking for.
And so once you applied and got into the program, we've talked a little bit here about what the different aspects are, the coursework, there's site visits, we meet with the different center directors. Even before you got into the internship, what were the pieces of the program that you found particularly useful?
One of the things that I really loved about this program is that we had guest speakers come in every week. So being able to hear like their real world experiences, seeing their career path, and being able to ask them questions, that was something that was really valuable. As I mentioned it, to me, I was a bit intimidated going into or thinking about going into a public safety role after college. So being able to network with them and connect with them, it was very valuable in that sense.
For me, I think it was, I'm going to talk a little bit about of why I think this program works so well. Initially, I think it was not just a program where they were offering me an internship. It was a program where they were teaching me about policy. It was a program where they were teaching me about research. There was a program where they were teaching me about all these skills that at the end of the day, collectively, like, it makes sense for my future for my career readiness, right? So I think that having all those speakers from all those agencies kind of like reinforce some of us to understand further what these careers were about. And so having that understanding, it kind of reaffirmed that that's something that you might want to do in the future, because you were seeing people from different agencies that came to speak to us and be like, oh, I want to be like you someday. And I feel like that was very important.
So in the spring, you both had an opportunity to intern at one of the centers. And I know this is sort of a two-part question, so would love to hear a little bit about what the internship experience was like, who you interned with, and what kind of opportunities you got as part of that. But then also, if you can share a little bit with us how over the course of the year your thinking about your careers might have evolved. I'm thinking of you specifically, Jessica, because you came into the program with certain career goals, and I think that changed over time. Rossman, I think you came in wanting to go to law school. I think you still want to go to law school, but anything you want to share about how your thinking has changed about your careers, that would be great too.
So I interned at the National Network for Safe Communities, which is a nonprofit organization that works with communities all around the world to build trust within communities and partner with both nonprofit organizations and also police and local government offices. So I was really fortunate enough to be a part of that, and the internship was fully remote. So I didn't get like an in-person experience, but it was really valuable as, you know, we're utilizing Zoom, and I got to meet with a city in Sweden and get to see how they are using different public safety methods to help their community. So I think that was a really special part of that internship. Sorry, what was the second question?
Just your career, because I know your thoughts about your career have evolved over time.
Yes. So my main career goal when applying for this program was to be in the FBI. I think that has changed a little bit, especially with recent events going on, but it was something that I had in mind this whole time. And then as we started talking more about public safety, I got really interested in being in a nonprofit organization because I felt like they are really on the ground working with people that are most in need. And that was further amplified through my internship with the National Network for Safe Communities. And then through that, I interned at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office over the summer as a gun violence prevention fellow. So that gave me further insight into how local, government offices also do work within communities and, partner with communities and talk to the people within them, which I hadn't really seen until then. And it was such an amazing experience, which then led me to want to stay there, and I applied for a paralegal position, and now I feel like I've seen I've been exposed to like many aspects of public safety that we had learned about through this program, and I really, if my freshman self could see me now, they would not believe I'm here at this point. So this program really has meant so much to me, and I'm so grateful to be here talking to you all about this and still have that community even after college.
So just one quick thing, because I think Jessica's being a little bit modest here. I think there's two things I want to point out about your experience. One is that Jessica actually found her own summer internship. So our program is really designed to match students and really help do some of that work. But Jessica, when she was interning with NNSC, was invited to go to a program actually at the New School where she met somebody from the Manhattan DA's office, networked with that person, introduced herself, learned about the Gun Violence Fellowship, and then applied for it because that was actually a fellowship that the Manhattan DA's office offers every summer. Applied for that fellowship program. And I think one really interesting thing about the fellowship program at Danny is that they really work with students to help them develop their own ideas about how to address gun violence. So it's not just a student kind of shadowing somebody or shadowing a DA, but it's really about having this exchange with students. What are your thoughts about gun violence? Here are the resources we have available in this office to help you learn about how we are seeing this issue. And Jessica really took advantage of that opportunity to come up with her own proposal. And then at the end of the program, and I was so thrilled to be able to see this presentation, she presented to Alvin Bragg, so the elected DA in Manhattan, and his entire senior team with her own proposal for how we could more effectively address gun violence. And I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot, but do you mind sharing just a little bit about that idea? Because it was a really beautiful presentation.
No, of course. And thank you for mentioning that. I probably should have mentioned that as well. But yeah, so my policy proposal, which is the culminating project that we were working on over the summer, was to create a Manhattan gun violence prevention dashboard, which displayed data in an easy to understand way for the public to view and also for nonprofits to view within New York City to be like, oh, this specific community in Manhattan needs our resources. How can we reach out to them? How can we help them? And the DA's office really does have so many connections with so many different nonprofits and just organizations that help the community and work within public safety. So this dashboard is supposed to kind of centralize all of the data and have also the public can access it as well so that they can easily understand, this is how gun violence looks in Manhattan. These are the things we're doing to prevent them. And this is who you can reach out to further understand how to prevent this, and kind of giving an easy guide on what gun violence is and the data behind that. Because I think that was one of the main things I took away from the internship, was that there is a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to gun violence, especially in Manhattan. So being able to display that easily for anyone, not only people working in public safety, but any community within Manhattan can understand. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm told we have time for one more question. So Rossman, if you can just share a little bit about your summer internship experience and then how that's translating into your current role, how you transition from that into your current role.
Yes. So I initially started interning at the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. I was in the trial division. And while I was an intern there, I was constantly trying to be very involved in anything that was going on. And so I got the opportunity to see how trial preparation works and all the work that goes behind when we are preparing for trial. So that incentivized something in me and tried to find a job that would show the same thing that I was doing at the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. And so I think that prepared me now as I work as a crime victim advocate for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. It was great because I got the opportunity to learn how the court system works, and I think that it was a great opportunity.
Thank you, Rossman.
This is on, but Karol, you started the day with the hope. If you don't want to be hope, get out of the room. You guys give me hope because I think it's so important that you pursue roles where you can make your communities better and stronger, and finding ways to do that at just right out of college and then continuing to network and continuing to, it gives me much hope, and thank you for speaking and for taking that first step. We have a few minutes for questions from the room for anyone. I'm going to bring you a mic. Oh, okay.
I was being polite. So, trying to get the names right. Roger, Dean Hartley. How, with our person who has the purse strings right next to you, how do we effectively advocate for having the state support some of this work and not just depend on private philanthropy?
No, thanks. Question was, how do we advocate to get the public sector to invest in these types of programs and our students? Well, I think one of the things that we tried to do is listen to our public service leaders as to what their hiring needs actually were. And as we heard over and over again, that they were struggling to hire, that they were struggling to find leaders to move into the positions that they'd lost, as you were saying so well, Joseph. we were able to kind of connect the dots and say, well, first of all, for your first 2 or 3 year employees, we can help you with that. And we could help you with that by giving you a paid internship experience if we could get the funding for that. And it's not that much money. And some of the leaders led divisions with, let's say it's a 10% vacancy rate. That means 10% in salary savings inside of their government that they might be able to ask their boss to say, could I deploy some of this money rather than kicking it back to the deficit? If it was a deficit, could I employ some of this money to bring in leaders? So that was one thing. And then on the other side of the coin, President, was we tried to also convince them that they needed to focus on the middle of their workforce, given that there were so many retirements, and that's where the certified public manager came in. Could you fund that and offer that free to state and local government agencies? Maybe nominate your top 3 employees that you would like to get some of that training to. So my goal, though, is something a little bit more. And 10 years of deaning, each year is like a dog year. It's like 7 years. So I'm about to go on sabbatical. So my sabbatical project is I'd like to really be able to create a model for public service-focused co-op learning like they have at other universities. Some universities are still doing that from the age of the 60s. In the 60s, 70s, we needed engineers. And so the call was to create co-op programs where you could work and go to school at the same time and get paid. Well, we need public servants, just like we needed engineers way back then. So trying to learn and design a way for maybe states and local governments to really create an embedded, not just an internship, but an embedded program where they can be working and using their tuition benefits at the same time.
Do you want to react to that? You were
Yeah.
called.
I mean, I think that's exactly right. Right. As somebody who's been a non-traditional student for the last 12 years, neither our workforces nor academia is really set up for that. Right. And so we need to change the incentive structure to be hospitable and really encourage people to broaden their horizons. I pathologically just say yes to everything. And so I think, but not everybody's wired that way. And I think it's important for us to broaden those horizons. So I would say, the one thing that you're kind of tapping into is how do we remove barriers? How do we create workplaces and workspaces that are going to be more hospitable to these opportunities and to non-traditional students? And there's something that I've said for the last 10 years, which is being in school makes me better at work, and being at work makes me better at school. And I think that that's, critically important. And then to answer President Mason's point, I think we have been able to leverage our budget on these opportunities. And the thing I didn't mention before is that Governor Kathy Hochul here in New York recognized that we needed a direct investment of workforce into the entry level. And so she got rid of, for most of the entry level titles, the test. No more civil service test. It's called New York Helps. And so you just apply, and we look at your resume for time and experience. And if you meet those, then we're going to interview you. And so that's why we have, 20, 30, 40, 50 people for each of our opportunities, because it's just time and experience. You don't have to have taken a test and then been on a list and then wait for the list to get to me and then call you. I can call you right away once I get your resume and once I do that time and experience check. And so now my push is like, okay, I need that for the middle management. And I think that's a big shift in civil service, and it's something that I know more and more of our policing partners, correction partners, they're like, hey, how do we get that too? So I think we have to think about civil service as working for us, not against us.
Commissioner Ellis, can you do that in Texas?
So we do leverage. On the federal level, they've always done it with the presidential internship program. But I find that for state legislators, they take interns more seriously if they put a little skin in the game, so to speak. So I think the members might give us, Erica Lee Carter there runs my program, and she's my policy director. They may put in about $2,000, and they do it on their budgets. And then we have a community benefits agreement with one of the universities where the county paves some of the city streets, so they pay for about 10. I always add the caveat, sometimes when you get states in particular can be interesting creatures, and you don't want to get in a lot of the rules that they have that create screw. There are always challenges with internship programs, trust me. When you're young, you just do naive things. And, I tell some of them, the ones that I tell them, I said, now when you run against me, remember I know all those silly things you did when you were young. And you think I'm getting senile, but I remember what you did when you got drunk, and we had to clean that up situation. So there are challenges with internship programs. And if we were to take state money, I was finance chair a long time ago, and I thought about doing it, but I was thinking some of the headaches that I had over the years with my own internship program, if that got into the state system, it could ruin somebody's career when you have to go through all of the various human resource issues. And I just stressed, you two would never have those problems. But sometimes interns just do intern things.
Any other questions? Yes.
Great panel, thank you. Speaking for the private sector, I know there's a great deal of difficulty now for those people who are graduating from college to find jobs in the private sector, being impacted by the uncertainties in and around AI. So on the one hand, it's an opportunity for the public sector to the extent that you have funding, but I just wanted to know how you are addressing that given this phenomenon that's taking place.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. I mean, I actually think New York is doing a good job, which is being very cautious, but also dipping our toe in the water. So with regard to AI, in my mind, I love what you said earlier about like the tools we're using now are not the tools that, even I was trained on, 12 years ago. And we're treating it as, how do we capture the student experience and have them drive the use cases? So one example is we've got 4,000 grants and contracts that we manage in any given year. And that's a lot of, voucher review. That's a lot. So some of our younger staff who have just joined are like, hey, can we use like a closed system AI to do the initial review to say, hey, what document is missing, to save us time, effort, and energy, but also to maximize the quickness for us to pay on these vouchers. And so we went to the University at Albany and said, hey, you guys specialize in closed system AIs. Can you help develop one for us? And so now we're working on that. So they're using this as an opportunity. It might save me 30 people that would otherwise be doing document review to just have one closed system AI. And so I think we have to find the use cases, but we also have to let the students teach us what it can be used for and what can it be used for. That's a good case. The bad case is we've also had a lot of police officers who are like, hey, we'd love to plug AI onto our body cameras so that they can do all the reporting for me. And I'm like, well, love the ingenuity, but there are some concerns, right? Like that's going to bypass due process. That's not going to be something that's going to be a discoverable document, right? Like we need to make sure that we are leveraging it for the appropriate purpose that still protects people's safety, but also their liberty. So I think we can see both sides of it playing out, and I think we have to let students teach us, bring us these use cases, and then evaluate them for their costs and benefits.
Yeah, I wanted to add, it was a great question that higher education at different levels is not just delving into this, but taking AI very seriously in its teaching and learning. We were blessed to have an incredible leader on our campus establish a center that was on teaching and learning focused on applied AI. We don't create AI at the University of Baltimore. We're not a Research One institution, but preparing our students in their classes and also preparing our faculty members to make use of it so that our students are prepared for a world that has AI. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the internet was created and people thought, oh God, people are going to cheat. That's the first thing a faculty member thinks, and that's what was the case with AI. But we now have I guess it's a scale of 1 to 5 that we teach our faculty members on, and we're doing this now of how to use it fully in a classroom, meaning it's wide open for assignments, everything, cheat away, not cheat, but use it, to no AI, and then what differences exist between on that 5-point scale. So we're trying to embed it in our curriculum. Some universities are way ahead of us. University of Florida, for instance, is literally redesigning its curriculum at the undergraduate and graduate level to make sure that AI is plugged in. Because we would do a great disservice right now for the public sector, all the private sector, everyone, if our students came out and said, well, all of our faculty members didn't let us use it because it was cheating. And then you said, well, blazes, we're using it everywhere here. Are you ready? That's the key for higher ed. We've got to adapt fast, and I think many of our institutions are.
So we're going to leave a little time for everyone to mill around and, ask each other questions if you like, just sort of adjourning the formal part. But I just hope that there's a few things that may have stuck with you listening to this panel, and what we are really, we don't know how to solve all of this, but what we do know that internships and early career talent help propel folks forward in their career in ways that are unmatched. It's just important. And private sector has it kind of down, right? Still a lot of the same challenges in terms of access and so on, but there's a lot, it's easier. And in the public sector, we know that when we get folks into organizations where they can see the work, understand the work, build skills in the work, meet people who do the work and who then invest in you, it can change a trajectory. A one-semester internship can change the way a career unfolds. So we are really invested in scaling public sector internships. We don't know exactly how to do it. It is expensive, but you've already got, you've been doing it for 35 years. You guys have just started this program. It was a pilot, and now you're going to have your next cohort come in. We've got hundreds of students in Baltimore who are learning about public sector work through these opportunities. And thank you for investing in early career talent and for that change that you described of kind of like making it just easy to apply and get into these jobs is enormous. And so I look to all of you as we sort of think about how to build the future leaders. That's what we're here to do. And we really put our heads together about how to provide these kinds of opportunities that we know are invaluable. So thank you to the panelists. I hope you will hang about and take any questions, and thank you all for coming.